Welcome back to another session of our GDP Consult video, and today we are going to try something a little bit different. So there will be a very short cooking session at the end, but basically the whole session is all about how to prepare a nutritionally balanced meal for your dog at home. So there are things to watch out for, like the ratios, the basic ratios, as well as to be mindful of your cooking method. So we're going to show you today how to do that. Very, very easy. And by the way, just to let everyone know, we have prepared two recipes for you. One for home-cooked dog food and the other for cat food. So if you want the recipes, just leave us a little message in the chat, and we will post the recipes up.
Yeah, we can respond via DM. So
right.
Send us a message, we'll send you a message back. Yeah.
Got it? So send us a message and we will send you a message back with the recipes included if you want them.
Yeah.
But before that, let me just go through very quickly, because even before we start the session, I think some of you may have noticed, some of you may have seen our earlier posting to get questions from you, to see if you have anything that you would like us to cover or answer today. So we did get some questions, and basically most of it are on vitamins, the type of vitamins that dog needs, how do you preserve the nutrients. So most of the questions will be answered during this session, but I just want to quickly highlight when it comes to vitamins and minerals, right? The type of vitamins that our dogs and cats need, and it's the same as what we need. So it's the same vitamins A, D, the sunshine D, vitamins E, C, K, and Bs, and all the families of Bs. So it's the same, as well as minerals. So it's the same as well. Calcium, magnesium, zinc, iodine, iron. So what we need is the same as what our dogs and cats need. Now the only difference is, for cats and dogs, especially for dogs, there are certain vitamins that they can make that we cannot make, and vice versa. So for example, vitamin C. Our dogs can make vitamin C. Well, we can't. We need to get it from food. So that's the difference. But both humans and dogs, we both need vitamin C. Now when it comes to vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, we can make vitamin D when we expose our skin to the sun. But the dogs, they can't. They cannot make vitamin D, so they need to get it from food. So that's the difference. But in terms of the type of vitamins, it's the same across all. Humans and dogs is the same, and cats as well, right? So just to cover that, so you know that there is really whatever that we need is the same, they need it too. So A, D, E, K, C, and Bs, all the Bs. Bs, you will always see it as the family of Bs, because there are many, many Bs under the family of vitamin B. So just remember what they need: A, D, E, K, C, and Bs. Okay? And very quickly, when it comes to cooking, now I want to read through the common ratio. Usually if you Google to look for a nutritionally complete and balanced meal, what is the ratio? How much meat to use, how much vegetables to use? You will normally get a standard ratio of 70% lean muscle meat, 10% organ meat, 10% meaty bones. It's because it's for raw diet, so 10% meaty bones, 7% vegetables, 2% seeds, and 1% fruits. Now again, if you want a ratio, you can Google. You just let us know, leave a message, and we will type out the ratio. But when it comes to cooking, right, when it comes to home-cooked food, you can play around with the ratio slightly. And the reason for that is also because sometimes when you cook, you do lose certain nutrients. So you can play around with the ratio for a better nutritional profile. So I've experimented with a few different, well, I wouldn't say a few, quite a lot.
Nutritionist.
So I've been playing around using tools. You can try as well. There are free tools like balanceeat.com. You can also subscribe to more professional tools like Pet Diet Designer and ADF, Animal Diet Formulator. So again, if you want to know the links to these tools, just let us know. We will share the links with you. So some of these tools are free, some are payable, so please check their website accordingly. So you can use some of these tools to help, but then I'll let you know. I've used the tools and I've played around with the recipes. So I'm going to tell you again. So most recipe will say 70% lean muscle meat. You can actually play around with it. For cats, stick to 70 because cats are carnivores, so they need a high amount of protein. So stick to 70%. Okay, basic ratios for cooked food. Instead of 70% lean meat, you can actually play around to about 60%, so you can reduce it to about 60%, so about 60 to 70% lean meat. For organ meats, the basic standard ratio you will get is 10%, but you can play around again, you can increase to 15%, and I find that most of the time when you increase to 15%, you get a better nutritional profile, but just be mindful with liver. Because liver is very high in vitamin A, and too much vitamin A is not good. So for when it comes to organ meat for liver, keep it at 5%. The rest of the other organs, usually it's kidney and heart. For chicken, it's gizzard. So the rest you can increase. So the total amount of organ meat can be 15%. You can increase up to 15%, but only 5% should be liver, to make sure that you do not overdose on vitamin A. When it comes to cooked food, no meaty bones. Now, raw diet will tell you 10% meaty bones. When it comes to cooked food, no meaty bones, so you will have to supplement. You can either use supplement like eggshell powder, which is very high in calcium, or sometimes you may see bone meal powder. You can use bone meal powder as well, which is also very high in calcium. So use that to supplement for calcium instead of giving your dogs cooked bones. So no cooked bones, no cooked bones for dogs, right? The amount to supplement, follow the instruction accordingly. Follow the instruction accordingly, alright? Oh, very important, when it comes to bone meal, there are two types. You have bone meal for gardening and bone meal that are edible for human or for animal consumption. So please do not buy the bone meal for gardening. That's not edible, that's for gardening. So get the correct ones. Get the correct bone meal that is edible, okay? For vegetables, the standard ratio is 7%, but I noticed that for cooked meals, if you give a higher ratio, again, you get better nutritional profile. So you can go up to about 25%, and that's safe. But for dogs who are not used to consuming so high amount of vegetables, you start at 7%, 7 to 10%. So you start at 7 to 10%, and you slowly increase the amount to about 25%. And that's good as well. Just make sure that it's well cooked.
Is that the same for cats?
Okay, for cats it's much lower. So for cats, keep it at 5. Okay, so remember for cats, lots of meat at 70%, lots of organ meat at 10 to 15%, and then the vegetables, you just keep it at 5%. Right? So that's simple. That's the cat's ratio. Now for dogs, you have a little bit more room to play around because they are able to take higher amount of vegetables, and it can be helpful for them as well. The amount of fiber will be helpful too. So for dogs, you can use 60 to 70% lean meat, 10 to 15% organ meat, and for vegetables, instead of sticking it at 7, you can increase all the way up to 25%, but build it gradually. If your dog has never had so much fiber or so much vegetables, make sure you increase gradually. And for seeds, well, again, the recommended ratio is 2%, and just stick with it. Yeah, for seeds, 2% is fine. So just stick with 2%. And there's fruits at the end at 1%. Now, I realized that for fruits, over here I have some blueberries. So I realized that for fruits, right, it's better not to cook them. So you retain the nutrients. So for fruits or berries, just give them as snacks, raw. And anyway, 1% is very little. So just give them as snacks and raw in between meals. And if you watermelon, if you juice it up, you freeze it, It will be very nice and refreshing. Freeze it, ice to become watermelon ice cubes. That would be really nice and refreshing on a hot day like this. I'm sweating outside. And supplements. So for those who are interested and are curious, I just want to highlight, even with the vegetables, the fruits, the organ meats and the lean meat, if you have the time to really go and analyze most of the recipes, you will find that most of the recipes on the internet, they are deficient in iodine, and they do not have the correct balance of omega-3 to omega-6. That is when supplements come in. So apart from the calcium supplements, the other very important supplement is kelp. I think I have here.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get a little pack as well. Alright. So the other very important supplement for home cooking is kelp, because that will include iodine, which is usually missing. Most of the time missing in most of the recipes that you'll find on the internet, and you may not realize it unless you run it through the formulator. So one of those formulator, Balanceit.com, Pet Diet Designer, one of those formulator, if you run the recipes through, you will realize that iodine is missing. So you'll need to add kelp. Again, follow the recommended dosing. So we have kelp here. And also, most recipes are not balanced when it comes to omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. So you may need to supplement again. So I have here, so the supplement can be in like this form, where it's soft chewables. Sometimes you will find it in capsules. I think that's quite common as well in capsules.
Yes.
Sometimes in pumps, it will tell you how many pumps. So any one of those is fine, as long as you have the supplement inside with additional omega-3. So
I have a question. So
Yes.
if you get capsules that are made for a human, like a fish oil capsule,
yeah,
could you use that for your dog?
depends on the dose, but most capsules that come in, let's say 500 milligram, so those smaller capsules are usually fine for dogs as long as nothing else is added. Now, some fish oil capsule, they like to add lemon flavoring, to take away the fishy smell and all that. So don't get those, just get the ones that are plain, nothing added, just fish oil, EPA, DHA, and the smaller capsules. Now, the bigger capsules you may overdose on. Because dogs are smaller. So the bigger capsules you may overdose, so get the smaller capsules. And if you're wondering, right, I just want to share this. I think most of you may have noticed Try and Buy on our website. If you have not, now some of these supplements, if you don't want to buy the whole bottle because you're not sure if your dog is going to eat it or not, go to the Try and Buy section. So some of them, you will find them in small little Try and Buy packets like this. So try this first. So go to the Try and Buy section and try one of it first before you get a whole full bottle, right? Okay, Try and Buy.
And that's just on GDP for now. We do not have it on Curious Cat People yet. So
Yes! I hope you hear
but
that.
if you want it, let us know. Sound off in the comments, send us a message.
True.
Let us know if you want it for CCP also.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Right. So if you did not hear what Lynn just say on the side, but you should. But if you did not hear what Lynn say on the side, okay, the Try and Buy at the moment is only available on GDP. It's not available on CCP yet. If you want it, if you want certain products or Try and Buy on CCP, hey, leave us a message. Let us know. Then we will work towards that. Okay? Yay! Sounds good. So and for cats, only for cats, remember to add a taurine supplement as well. You know how important taurine is for cats? So for cats, remember to get a taurine supplement as well. You just need a little bit, but it's better to supplement, to add a little bit into the homemade cat food to make sure that your cats are not deficient in taurine. Otherwise, they may end up with other health issues. Okay. Finally, before we start cooking, a few important things to share before I forget. Number one, You know, earlier I mentioned about the recipe that you're gonna get from us. So remember, the recipe is as is, alright? You can play around with the vegetables. You can reduce slightly or increase slightly, it's fine. But when it comes to the protein, because the recipe is a beef recipe, so when it comes to the protein, if you change the protein, you change the nutritional profile. So it's beef. Stick with beef. Do not switch it out and replace it with chicken or pork or something else, because then you totally change the nutritional profile. Okay? So for home cooks, you need to be a little bit of a nerd and test around. Alright? But if you want other recipes, let us know as well. We can help you out and amend it for you. But if not, please stick with it. Do not change. Alright? Just be mindful of that, right? So the nutrition profile will change once you change the meat, as well as the amount, the percentage. So if you change the percentage, the amount of meat on the recipes, you're going to change the nutritional profile too, right? So that's the challenge with home cooking. Now, of course, the difference is with commercial dog food, everything has been balanced out for you. You don't have to worry. You can just pick a fish flavor or a beef flavor or a chicken flavor, and everything is balanced accordingly. But with home cooking, it's not. So every time you change the protein, you may have to reformulate the whole recipe again. Take note of that, okay? And the cooking method is very important. And talking about that, I'm going to turn on the stove first.
And we're back after a little bit of a rainstorm and a move.
Yes, it rained, so we had to pause to move certain things around, but we are back. Right, so I think, if I'm not wrong, I think I left off at the cooking method. So we're going to talk about the cooking method and why it matters. So we were talking about commercial dog food, how it has been nutritionally balanced for you. Then the other thing about commercial dog food, so those who, if you're feeding any one of those frozen cooked dog food, you will see things like lightly cooked, gently cooked. Now, basically, this food has been cooked in a temperature controlled environment to preserve nutrients. So they are not cooked at too high heat. So some commercial dog food, if the heat is too high, then it will destroy some of the nutrients. So you need to supplement back. But most of this frozen dog food, if you see a label there that says lightly cooked or gently cooked, so they are the cooking method is temperature controlled at a certain degree, usually at about 60 degrees Celsius, to make sure that the nutrients are retained. But in home cooking, unless you have a slow cooker, in home cooking, it can be a little bit challenging. So I'm going to show you a simple way of doing that to retain as most nutrient as possible. Let's say you don't have a slow cooker, you don't have any equipment, and all you have is this at home. So how do you do that? Simple. So first let me just turn on the stove on the heat. Okay, let me just turn on the heat to warm up the pan a little bit. So when it comes to meat, what you want to do is to cook it in a little bit of liquid, not in oil. And the reason for that is if you add cooking oil, then you are going to change the omega-3, omega-6, omega-9 profile. So you do not add oil. Instead, what you do is you add a little bit of liquid, plain water. If you have bone broth, better. If you don't have, it's fine. Say you have nothing at home, it's fine. Just use plain water. And how much water to add depends on how much liquid your dog likes. So if your dog likes a lot of liquid, then you can add more. If not, then you just add a little bit. So here I'm probably a cup.
About a cup.
Okay, so about a cup of liquid inside here. Maybe less because the pot is small. My meat is not a lot. So I use about 3/4 cup, right? So while the water heats up, I just want to show you. So I have some minced meat here, beef. Now the meats that I'm using is 90% lean. If you can find 95% lean, it's so much better. But if you cannot, choose the 90% lean. And I have also minced up some organs. So this is a combination of beef liver, beef heart, and kidney. So basically what you want to do is you want to mix them well. Mix them well so you get it equally distributed. So these are the extra stuff that you can do at home. Now I'm going to talk about the meat first, then I will show you how to preserve nutrients in vegetables. So in vegetables it's slightly different. So yes, if you're home cooking, you may have to cook 2 different times, 2 different processes. Now, the supplements do not add yet, except for eggshell powder. If you want to add the eggshell powder, it's fine. Everything else do not add. You will add after cooking, before you serve. The reason for that is the heat may destroy some of the nutrients, so you leave them out, except for eggshell powder if you want to add. Now I'm not adding the eggshell powder. Instead, I'm going to add the 2% seeds, sunflower seeds. So you grind them out finely. You grind that out finely, the 2% sunflower seeds. And then you can add it in, the sunflower seeds. But the rest of the vegetables, which I have here, this is chopped up broccoli. You will see it in the recipe as well. This is spinach, which are chopped up as well. And this is a combination of carrots and pumpkin, which I've chopped up as well, quite finely. Okay? Alright. So you mix, but do not add the vegetables in here. The vegetables, the best way to preserve nutrients in vegetables is to steam them. So for meat and organ meat, you want to cook them in a little bit of liquid, but for vegetables, you steam. But I'll show you a very easy way. Say you don't have time, you don't have time to prepare one for steaming, one for liquid, so I'll show you what to do, okay? So once you have everything mixed together well, you just add them to the pot, and it's very easy, it's not difficult. So the meat is in the pot, and while we are waiting for the pot to heat up, I just want to touch very quickly on the spices. So here I have turmeric powder, and this is ginger powder. Now the reason why I bring this up is because for certain dogs, if they are suffering from, or even cats, if they are suffering from arthritis pain, you can sprinkle a little bit for anti-inflammation. And not only that, and these 2 spices, they are very high in manganese. So if you run a recipe through the diet formulator and you find that, hey, wait a minute, manganese is low, and it happens in some recipes, but you find that you don't want to change any of the other nutritional profiles, so you do not want to mess with the amount of meat organs or the meat, or you don't want to change anything else, what you can do is just to add a sprinkle of turmeric or ginger powder. So that will increase your manganese amount without having to mess with the rest of the formula and the other ingredients. Right?
So like an 1/8 of a teaspoon, 1/4 of a teaspoon?
Usually about 1/8 to a 1/4 teaspoon.
Okay.
And that's enough.
Okay.
So isn't that cool? Little tricks. So you have little tricks, right? Oh, it's starting to boil, but before I go there, now the best way, as mentioned earlier, the best way to preserve nutrients in vegetables is to steam them. So in an ideal situation, what you should be doing is, while the meat is cooking in the liquid, give it a stir, make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pot. Okay? So while the meat is cooking, you should start another pot with some water to steam the vegetables. So you steam the hardy vegetables first, like the pumpkin, the carrots, and the broccoli. So you steam this first for about 5 minutes. Then only you add your spinach in for the final 5 minutes. Once everything is steamed, remove them from the heat, set them aside, and mix in with the meat, the cooked meat later. And the meat is cooking very fast. So that should be an ideal situation. Now, again, coming back to in the event that you just have to make everything quick, you don't have a lot of time. So what you do, which I notice as most of the time, you don't have to cook your meat for too long. It takes only about 12 to 15 minutes and it would be just nicely cooked. So what you did is you let your meat cook for about 5 minutes, then you add in the hardy vegetables. Stir. And let this cook for 5 minutes. Before at the end of it, you put in the spinach for the last 5 minutes. So total cooking time is just about 15 minutes. The first 5 minutes is just the meat only. Then after that, you add in the hardy vegetables for another 5 minutes, and finally, this for 5 minutes. Okay? Alright. Okay, so 5 minutes have passed and it looks about right. So now I'm going to add in spinach, and spinach cooks very fast. So you only add it in the last 3 to 5 minutes. Don't add it too early or you're going to overcook your spinach. I know it looks a lot, but you know how spinach will wilt down and then, you know, it'll be fine at the end.
It smells really good.
Yeah, it does actually. But it's human grade anyway.
Yeah.
It's human grade, you know. Everything that we use here, it's for humans.
So basically, you cook it for your dog, get yourself a bowl of rice,
Yes.
have some on the side.
Yes.
Add some chili. But
You can season it however you want for yourself, but just leave it like that for your dog. Right, leave it for a while, let the spinach cook down. Then you can leave it to cool to room temperature and it's ready.
Yay!
Or if you have extra and you want to store them, put it in a clean container and you can keep them in the fridge for up to 3 days. Try not to keep longer than that because there's no preservative, nothing there, it's clean. So just up to 3 days and try to finish it. And if you're wondering how much to feed your dog, now in the recipe there's 2 pages to that. At the back you will see the total calories for this whole recipe. So you know the whole recipe, the amount of calories, but you need to know how much your dog needs. You need to calculate the amount of calorie that your dog requires and then you feed accordingly, right?
Are there any good guides online for that?
Normally the guide would be to feed, let's say you're not sure how to calculate your dog's calories.
Yeah.
So a guide would be to feed about 3% the weight of food, 3% of your dog's weight. But you have to monitor because that's a very rough guide.
Yeah.
So you have to monitor if you notice that he or she, poor doggy, is starting to get a little bit plump or losing weight, then you increase the amount of food.
And for cats, is it the same, about 3%?
Yes, it's the same as well for cats, 2 to 3%. But remember, for cats, don't use so much vegetables. Yeah, this is a doggy recipe, so for cats you have to cut it down. Like I said, we have the recipe for cats as well, so just let us know. CCP, hello, let us know, and we will send you the recipes too for cats. Right, and I'm going to turn this off. And technical issues.
Got it.
It's off.
It's off.
Yay! So now, we'll leave it to cool, and we have. Where's our tester?
She's right here, actually. She is ready. She has been helping me behind the scenes, and now she's ready for her reward. Hard day work.
Okay, we're gonna leave this to cool, and then we'll have our tester, and we'll show you.
And so, do you wait for it to cool before you add the supplements?
Yes.
And the
Good
blueberries.
question. Good
Yeah.
question. Right. Don't put the supplements in now. Wait for it to cool. The best way to add the supplement is to add before you feed.
So for each
before you
meal?
feed. Yes, at each meal. Just right before you feed, you sprinkle on or you break the supplements into it. Right? So do not put it down. The heat will just destroy everything. Now, I did not talk about the Augustine Super Boost. It's a meal balancer, one of those meal balancers that you'll find in the market. So in the event you're totally not sure about nutrition, you don't have a formulator, you have some basic recipes that you want to follow, but you have a feeling that it's not balanced because of certain things are missing, use one of this. Use a meal balancer to make sure that you put everything back, to make sure that the vitamin D's are there, the omega-3, omega-6 is balanced. So please use one of the meal balancers. Don't assume that it's going to be balanced. Okay, so we have one here, very good one. Whole food, all natural. Let's wait for it to cool. It's hot. Oh, it's hot, Esther.
Come, Nico. Yummy, 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 mama. Let's go, mama. Let's go, mama. Is that good? Is that mama?
For those at home, please remember to add the supplements before feeding your dogs. Don't do like what I did here. I didn't put in the supplements. So yeah, remember to add the supplements before feeding your dogs. You can throw in the fruits as toppers if you want to. If not, the berries or the fruits can be fed as snacks, healthy treats along the day, alright?
So, Catherine, I just wanted to share, we did have some questions on Instagram from both Good Dog people and Curious Cat people, and I think we've answered most of them, but let's just go over them because I want to make sure they get the info that they're asking about.
Yes.
So, on Curious Cat people, Loud Twinkle Baby asked, what kind of vitamins do you input into the food? And I think we covered it, but do you want to just go over it?
Okay. If you're talking about the vitamins that a cat needs, this is
from Curious Cat people, yes.
Yeah, if you're talking about the vitamins that a cat needs, so it's the same as humans, so you will need your A, D, E, K, C, and B's, right? But if you're talking about what to include in your home cooked meal, it depends on the recipes. If you follow a balanced, nutritionally balanced complete recipes, you don't really need to add anything. But if not, you don't have to fuss with it. If not, you add a meal balancer, or you give a multivite, something like this. Now this is for dogs, but we do have a cat version, so look for a cat multivite. Just give one of those to make sure that your cat gets all the necessary vitamin the cat needs.
Great.
Right?
At Ong's Trisha asked, how do I know if there's enough nutrients in home cooked meals versus kibbles? And that was from Good Dog people.
Okay. Commercial meals. Doesn't matter whether it's kibble, canned, frozen, freeze-dried, they are always nutritionally balanced. So you don't have to worry about that. You just get what your dog likes. But home cooked, you do have to, as mentioned earlier, you do have to run the recipe through a formulator, make sure that it's nutritionally balanced. If it's not, again, add the necessary nutrients.
And then the other question we had was at Pumpkin asked, is home cooked better than canned food?
There are differences, yes and no. Both will have pro and con. And it's not just canned food, commercially food versus home cooked food. Of course, home cooked food, you know what goes in. Like in this case, as I mentioned earlier, you know that everything is clean, it's fresh. You see the colors, it's still there. No preservatives, nothing, no fillers and all that. Now for commercial food, yes, sometimes some fillers are required and it's necessary to commercialize, to pack the food either in can or in kibbles. So that's the not so nice side of it, but the good side of it is, of course, commercial diets are always nutritionally complete and balanced. Now, for home cooking, you have to pay very, very close attention to the nutrients. The amount of ingredient that goes in, the things that the cooking method, everything affects the nutritional level. So that's the pro and con between the two of them.
And a question from at Apurva_Uday Kumar from GDP. What supplements should we add to home cooked food?
What supplements should you add to home cooked food?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For home cooked food, if you're not sure if the recipe is balanced or not, I would recommend a meal balancer like this, which I've shown earlier. Now, if you don't have a meal balancer at home and you want to make sure that your pet has all the necessary nutrients, give a multivite. Now, multivite supplement can be this in chewable form. Sometimes they come in tablets, but usually in chewable forms. So, if you have a cat, get a multivite for cats. If you have dogs, get a multivite for dogs. Because both different, they will need slightly different nutritional profile. And for example, in cats, you may find taurine, but in dogs, you may not find taurine. So get the appropriate ones.